call the August 11th, 2026 regular meeting of the Edenton Town Council to order. Our first order of business is reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. If you join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Mayor Pro Tem Edenton Bond is not going to be able to join us tonight, so I would ask Councilman Craig Miller to please give our invocation, if you would.
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather this evening as your servants, asking for your blessing and guidance. Grant wisdom to our town staff, presenters, public commenters, and council members as we deliberate on important town issues. May our discussions be filled with respect, clarity, and a genuine desire for fairness and the common good. Illuminate our minds with the truth so we may make just decisions that honor you and benefit all the citizens of Edenton. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. For stepping in like that, Mr. Miller, on short notice. The next agenda item is approval of our minutes from the July 14th regular meeting and the July 27th special meeting of Town Council. Are there any comments, questions, or requests for revisions to those minutes by any councilman?
Just one thing, Mayor, we did notice a typo today, just on one of the words from the manager's report, and just to make note that we'd like to correct that on one typo from bone to bolt.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion that we approve the minutes with that correction? Okay, all in favor of approval of the minutes with that amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we move to our public comment. I would like to let the general public know that we will have two public comment sections on our agenda tonight. The first public comment section, which we're at now, is our regular open public comment where you can comment on anything that your heart desires. Later, we do have a public hearing on a land use matter, and under the statutes of North Carolina, we're required to have a public hearing on that also. So if you're here to speak either in favor or against the proposed change to our zoning map, I will call you up at a later time. Now is not the time for you to come forward. As to our general public comment section, just like to remind our speakers that you are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and just come to the podium as we call your name out. Our first speaker tonight is J.D. Grant. J.D.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just a couple things. I noticed that a bunch of trees have been cut down lately. I know some others are going to speak to that, but I think it would be nice if we were advised that some of those trees, because there was nothing wrong with them. I've got a dead one in front of my house and nobody's taking it down. When the company came through and redid their internet, dropped the cables, they cut the internet to several businesses in the back. When they were approached, they were very non-committal about anything, pointing fingers at each other, and stated that they would reseed and put straw down in the alleyway behind the drugstore and next to my wife's building. Neither one of those have been done. I noticed that they've been paving the parking lot. It looks really good. I just wondered, I know that sometimes there's extra asphalt. Maybe we could throw some of those potholes that's in the upper parking lot. And I noticed that there's a budget amendment tonight. Is the budget now finalized, or are we still tweaking it?
Okay, on that, we can't answer that tonight. There will be consideration of the new budget. The amendment speaks to the first budget that we approved, and then there's several other amendments, but I don't think you're referring to those. You're referring to the actual budget. So there will be discussion and a vote tonight. Whether it's finalized or not remains to be seen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Next, Pat Draper.
Good evening. I have several things that I want to address. First is that on the town's website, I don't see agendas and packets on there, and the one in particular for the Historic Commission. There's not an agenda and there aren't packets. It would be really nice to have the Historic Commission packet so the public could see it before attending the meetings. Also, the commission does not go out to see any site that is coming up before it for an application. I think it would behoove the board members to be able to go and look at those sites. Is there any reason that they are not allowed to go there to look at a site?
What board is that again?
That's the Historic Commission. And I also want to address the trees in front of Carol Becker's place. They were there one morning, and when I got back about 2 hours later, they were gone. Nothing said about it, no signs. And the same thing happened with a big cedar tree that was on the corner on that same property. There were no signs, there was nothing saying that anything was going to happen. I thought that if a tree was coming down, that they had to put up a sign and let the public know, and it had to be there for at least 14 days, so the public could have some say in it.
What address is that? Or
400 East Queen, right in front of Carol Becker's house. Also, a few months ago, Martinique was being discussed and bringing it down here to the waterfront, and there is pollution in that property. I don't know if right under this particular parking lot, but I understand there are supposed to be monitoring wells or testing wells, but where are those located out there? Also, I hate to say it because people would get upset, I do not feel a fan of moving Martinique down here. I think that it is going to be a false sense of history to have it here because it was not ever in Edenton. It is beautiful, but I also think that eventually it is going to be an expense to the townspeople paying their taxes for upkeep and whatever. I don't know how much it's going to cost if you have to purchase Martinique. Of course, and then you have the money to bring it down, but even so, I still think it's a false sense of history to have that particular building here. And that's enough for tonight.
In fact, one question for you, just to make sure that the administration can address your concern about the agendas. I'm looking at it now, which agendas aren't on the website? I see that all of them are here, but do you have any in particular so they can make sure they're...
The historic preservation, now I looked on it, it's probably 3 or 4 days ago. The historic preservation, there was no agenda on there as of January 12th of 26. The planning board, there was no agenda as of August 5th of 2024. And I did not look to see if there is a recent one for town council, but the last one was July 14th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Pat, you come, I think, every meeting, so you know what we do on the ones that we can't answer specifically right now. Our town manager will look into them and get back to you. One of your questions was why the historical preservation does not go out and make a site visit, and we'll look into that. There may be legal reasons for that. One of the requirements is that that commission sit basically as judge and jury and make decisions based on what's coming in front of them during the particular hearing. And there are some prohibitions in the law from going out doing their own investigation. So we'll look into that also, but that may be the reason.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Steve and Carl. Steve?
Good evening, everybody. I'm back. First of all, I would like to thank CJ for a couple trees I'm trying to save. He's been very workable this week. in terms of looking at a tree, not just going by 25% of the tree being bad, but, you know, let's look at the tree. They've been neglected for so long. Yes, they need work, not a question. But do they need to be murdered? Not necessarily, okay? So we've talked several times, and he's done, you know, he's gonna do the right thing, whether the tree goes or not, so I appreciate that. Also, I'd like everybody in the room and you folks, I'm gonna pass this around, the mayor's task force on the environment and the Chowan Edenton Environmental Group is doing a presentation on the 17th at the library at 5 o'clock, 5:30 to 6:30 or so, on the state of blue-green algae that last year was a real bad deal, and this year people are going, we don't have it. We don't know yet. We just, my wife and I did a run up the east side of the Chowan River today, stopping at 7 different upper stream sites, and we did not see any algae, a lot of duckweed, and we're getting a lot of calls for green stuff in the river. And one of the things that we'll be doing at the presentation next Monday is, this is duckweed, it's a plant, it's got leaves, it's got roots. This is a blue-green algae, it's a colonial bacteria, and there's a difference between those types of things. So I'm passing that around, you can take a look. It's on both the Chowan Edenton Environmental Group website. I believe Susan Ingles has it on her Facebook page, so.
It's on Edenton Social Life as well.
And it's, okay, so it's being spread out, so it's informational. On a previous meeting, I also mentioned a house that was possibly being moved to a spot down here that I disagreed with due to several reasons. I like to see the water when I come down Broad Street, and I think that would be a hindrance to that. Unfortunately, the speaker ahead of me at that point in time mentioned Wingfield. I mentioned Wingfield. It's not Wingfield, it's Martinique. So I'd like to stand corrected on at least the right house. On the committee meeting section, Part C, Public Works Committee, speed reduction request. I've been, oh, Chief came back, I thought he ran because he knew I was coming up. We've had several conversations about East Queen Street and traffic, and I would like to also, if there's a request for a speed reduction someplace in town, I'd like to have East Queen Street lowered to 15 miles an hour. That would help the police department, because if people see 15, they're gonna do 25. I might even do 30, might even do 50. But if they're seeing 25, you know they're gonna be doing 30 to 40. I mean, that's just, you know, it's just common sense, or what people do. So it would help both the residents on the street. I mean, there have been several times when I've almost been hit. People don't slow down for anybody in the street, okay? And it would help the police department being able to go, okay, 25 is 10 over the speed limit if it's 15. It's a whole lot easier to say, look, you're speeding, than it is 35 to, there's these types of easy little details that, we don't think about too much. That might be picky on your part, but, I mean, I was in the middle of a rainstorm trying to get across the street. Some guy with a, car and a, mobile home came up the street, and, okay, I'll just stand in the rain until you get out of my way or whatever. So people are very inconsiderate as to the speed. We have cats, we have dogs, we have people, we have cars. It's not a Route 95. So if you guys would consider, especially since you already have a speed reduction request, add that to it, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
Any questions?
That's at the library, the event is at the library.
It's at the library, 5:30, Monday night. If you're looking for another poster, there's one on your door.
There is.
And,
Thank you.
and most of the other buildings in town also have them, okay? Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Next, Hal Murray. Hal?
My wife says I lose it. One of them little buttons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman. I come before you asking for transparency in the allocation of $250,000 to the town fund of the Main Street Initiative. Presently, the proposed budget allocates $250,000 to Main Street as a contribution from the Electric Fund's expense account 20-660924. This is a $50,000 increase over last year's allocation. The town manager will be quick to tell you this is not taxpayers' money, but rather profit from the Edenton Electric Company. In his own words, as to be clear, the funding is not from a taxpayer, but like all economic development, is part of resources used to gain and sustain customers from the electric fund. That being the case, the electric company is overcharging the residents of Edenton to finance Main Street. As to transparency, Main Street is a 501c3 nonprofit, and their books are not open to public scrutiny. Their 2026 budget, compensation for employees, individual donations, and investor details are all shielded behind the nonprofit status Main Street enjoys. All I have to go on is data from the required 990 form. The 2025 report states that $98,000 went to executive salary and wages. This is equaling to 35% of their revenue. ProPublica identifies the following, among others, as ex officio members of the board: Hack-High, Corey, and Corey Gooden. Councilman Dixon is identified as a board member. This is the same group voting to contribute $250,000 to Main Street and will no doubt have a say in where those funds are spent. Think of that for just a moment. Those who appropriate the money to Main Street have a say in where the money is spent. And later in this very meeting, the town of Edenton will consider making a $760,000 contribution to Project Teapot, another arm of the tangled web of Main Street initiative. Taken together, this is over $1 million in contributions. The lack of transparency is all too apparent. I ask that you, the town council, require a full detailed budget for Main Street to be made public. One way or another, these are public funds, and the good people of Edenton have a right to know where their money goes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and we'll have a more detailed response to that later in the meeting, and I'm sure you'll be here.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Wayne Caskey.
Councilman, members, mayor. On February 20th of this year, I sent the following letter out to 15 churches in Edenton. To the church in Edenton: this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. There is a web of deception that has been spun over this city, ears that cannot hear and eyes that cannot see the truth. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. If the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Do not be deceived, as this has all been revealed in Scripture. In the last days, see to it that no one misleads you. There are deceived Christian leaders that have seated themselves in chairs of authority in this city. They love the place of honor and respectful greetings in the marketplace. You fools and blind guides, do you not see, do you not hear? You are misleading the people. You appear to be harmless, but are actually dangerous and deceptive, wolves in sheep's clothing. We need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. These leaders are bringing in damnable heresies and are deceiving the very elect, if it were possible. By their good works and good words and fair speeches, deceive the heart of the people. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. Your blood is now upon your own hands. What will you do? Continue on as is, or will you break off the spirit of stupor? Do not be dismayed. The supernatural intensity of this will result in revival as a collision of humankind moving toward God is unleashed. In other words, when heaven and earth collide. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. What will result is regret that you missed it. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. Sincerely yours in Christ, the white boy. And Paul's reply to Festus when accused of being out of his mind is my reply tonight. I am not out of my mind, but I utter words of sober truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we've got a special presentation from Snapback. We've got Courtney Riley here with us tonight. We request annual updates from our partners out in the community, and Snapback is a partner of ours. And Courtney, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to postpone your presentation while we were working through the budget. We had several very lengthy meetings, and we wanted to make sure that you did not feel rushed with all those other things. So I wanted to make sure that we thanked you publicly.
Thank you very much. Mayor High and Town Manager Corey Gooden, as well as the Town Council, I appreciate the fact that you guys invite us back every year. You guys have been supportive. Let me rephrase that, y'all. Let's not use you guys. Y'all have been supportive since the day we opened the doors. We are going into our fourth year? Yeah, fourth year. And we couldn't do it without the support of the town and the individuals in our community, but mostly, I mean, the town. You guys have been amazing. I'm not going to keep you super long because it sounds like you guys have got a whole lot on your plate this season. Snapback's mission is the same as it was when I opened the doors in 2023, but I just want to remind you all what it is as well as the audience. Our mission for Snapback has always been to change the stigma of the population that struggles with substance use, alcoholism, and mental illness. We aim to bridge the gap between the individual and the needed support for them and their families. We provide peer support, community resources through support groups, therapeutic services, and educational workshops. We also work with the community to connect the family to other resources such as employment and continuing education. We link individuals to higher levels of care if needed for inpatient treatment, sober living transitions, medication management, and any other need. Snapback NC works with the individual and their family on long-term treatment plans through person-centered goals, utilizing a peer support approach by individuals that understand firsthand and can help the family navigate the journey of recovery. I've been a licensed peer support specialist for going on 5 years now. I finished my master's degree in counseling. Everybody keeps pushing me to that. I enjoy the fact that I can look at my clients and tell them that I'm not their therapist. It's not what I do. I get to use my lived experience to be able to relate to my clients, to show them the hope that in the midst of their struggles they don't see. These are some updated statistics. The latest federal data shows that 73.6 million Americans under the age of 12 have used illicit drugs within the last year. That does not include marijuana. That's roughly 26% of the population. 23.5 million people, which is roughly 10% in the U.S. over the age of 18 are in recovery. That is a staggeringly low number. 1 in 5 of individuals age 12 or older who needed substance use treatment in the past year have actually accessed formal substance use treatment. In North Carolina, statistics of overdoses resulting in death in 2024 were on average 8 individuals per day in our state. This is a drop from 2023. In 2023, it was 12 per day, and that was directly related to the COVID epidemic. The estimated number according to the 2025-2026 trend data is suspected to stay roughly the same, around 8 individuals per day. Just a little bit about what peer support is. It is a non-therapeutic service. It is provided by individuals who have lived experience of substance use, alcoholism, and or mental health. It is proven across the board. Hospitals are employing peer support staff, rehabilitation centers, nursing homes. There's a whole host of physiological healthcare centers that are utilizing peer support to help individuals through their struggles. Some of the positives of it, it improves the quality of life. It improves engagement and satisfaction with services and supports, and I will attest that has a whole lot to do with when a client comes to see me and I'm able to use my lived experience, I'm relatable. They don't care about the degree on my wall. They don't care about how many textbooks I read. What they care about is the fact that when I look at them and I tell them that I understand exactly what they're going through, that I do understand exactly what they're going through. Peer support is also proven to help decrease hospitalizations and inpatient days. Just a little scenario that we've encountered this year. The sheriff's office called me out on a Saturday. One of my clients, they had been called to a residence for one of my clients. He immediately said, call Miss Courtney over at Snapback, call Miss Courtney. They did. I was able to come out, de-escalate the situation. He did not need to get arrested. He did not need to get placed into a hospital on a hold. He needed support in a different way, and I'm really grateful that I was able to work with law enforcement to kind of make that happen, to eliminate it escalating. It also reduces the overall cost of services. I'm sure a lot of you know, getting in with a therapist anywhere, not just in North Carolina, but anywhere, it is a waiting list. To get an assessment, to get help, it's a waiting list, especially if you have Medicaid. The good thing about peer support is I'm able to bridge that gap until we get them in with a therapist, until we get them in with an assessment, until we can get them into a bed for a long-term rehabilitation center. This is the Medicaid reimbursement rate. This is as of January 2026, and what I did is I did an average of all of the Medicaid providers, what their average reimbursement rate currently was, and I did an average of all of them. It's roughly $58.84 per hour. The recommended round of services that Medicaid allows for is 90 days at 4 hours per week. So the breakdown for a full 90 days of services is $2,824.32. With that being said, my service is only provided, it's only covered by Medicaid. Private insurance does not allow for it yet. I know that Anthem and a couple other of the private insurances, including Medicare, is trying to get it passed because research is showing how beneficial the service can be. With that being said, I don't turn anybody away. If the town calls me, they've got an employee that needs help, they've got state insurance. That's fine and dandy. I'm not going to turn them away. If somebody wants the help, we're going to figure out how we can make it happen. Other services that we currently offer are pastoral counseling. We have weekly peer support groups, and I'm also qualified to teach peer management. Now this is the stuff that you guys wanted to hear about. We served in 2025 126 clients through peer support. 31 individuals attended support groups throughout the entire year. 9 clients received pastoral counseling and community resource connection. Sometimes clients come in, they don't need direct services right now, they're in crisis and they need housing, they need food, they need clothing, they need help getting a job. That's what we call our community resource connection. 47 of the 126 clients were supported by accessing services with the help of grants and donations, including funds received from the town of Edenton.
Are these clients solely in Chowan County or is it surrounding areas? as
All
well?
surrounding areas. I do have some that are in Currituck, Dare, Washington, Martin County, kind of just wherever the need is. We moved. We're still in the town of Edenton. We moved a couple of weeks ago. We're in the old Net Change office building right beside Quality Equipment, 514 East Church Street. We have a lot less foot traffic. If anybody knows, I mean, everybody knows where we were. Right there, 703 North Broad Street, right next to the Red Apple. It was not always a safe environment. It was not a safe environment, especially because I do work late hours. I am in the office a whole lot by myself. It just wasn't always a safe environment.
Do you get many referrals? I mean, do people refer people to you? And how do they know what you offer? Do you
So social media, we push a lot with social media. We have a lot of information in our local health departments, hospitals, doctors' offices. 90% of my referrals currently are coming from local probation, as well as I have had some public defenders that have referred clients for services, and then we do get quite a few actually from DSS, Department of Social Services. Parents in situations that they're losing their children and they're trying to keep them in the home. If the parents need support services, DSS will send them over. There's more. I just hired a new therapist who is also a licensed clinical addiction specialist, which is something in our region that we do not have. There is one that works in Elizabeth City, but she does everything remote. So we are excited to be bringing a licensed addiction specialist to Edenton because a lot of the justice system, a lot of judges are requiring individuals to get substance use assessments and things like that. And it's not always conducive for them to get to Elizabeth City or Greenville. Transportation is not always easy. So the good thing about with what we do is I'm able to pick up a client if I need to. We can offer telehealth if we need to. I can see them in their home. I can see them in the community. And that will also follow the same with our new therapist that's starting September the 1st. And then I also just wanted to plug in, don't forget the 5K Mad Dash for Mental Health. This is our 3rd annual. This is our one and only fundraiser of the year. This fundraiser allows me to continue to not turn anyone away. Individuals that don't seek help usually don't seek help because they don't know where to get it or they don't know how to go about it. If individuals come to me and they don't have Medicaid, they can't get Medicaid because of past drug charges or whatever the case may be, we're going to figure it out. I work a lot that I don't get paid for. I'm not in the business to get paid. I'm in the business to give somebody hope that I didn't have 12 years ago. So I just want to tell you guys thank you very much for always being supportive, and we look forward to another great year.
Do you hear a lot from the clergy? The clergy refer to you.
As far as local churches, we do. I have worked with Betsy Johnstone and the Mental Health Connection. I've sat on quite a few of their community forums just to make sure that our services, we are part of their information packet as well. So we do try to. I do try to network as much as humanly possible if I'm not stuck in the office.
Okay, any more questions of Courtney?
I do have one. Courtney, I appreciate you being here today with the presentation. I serve on the opioid crisis settlement fund. So I'm curious, what impact for Trillon County or what success have you guys had with reducing the amount of overdoses that we previously had within the county?
Great question, Mr. Preston, great question. I like to tell people that I am fighting a losing battle. And it is a very sobering thought for me. I have lost 5 clients in the last 18 months to overdoses directly, and I have to remove myself for a couple days and kind of take a moment. I don't think we're ever going to combat and get rid of the opioid crisis or alcoholism, whatever the case may be. I think by Snapback being here in Edenton and us being out in the community as much as possible, I think we are giving individuals that didn't have hope at least a little glimmer of light that they know there's somewhere that they can come. I will say those Thursday night meetings that I host, we start back up next week because of the move. We have a lot of individuals in the community that just show up for Thursday night. They're not an ongoing client, but that safety of being in that room and being able to be around other individuals that understand and they can bring their families, I do believe that that is making an impact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have one comment. I'd like to congratulate you on deepening your ties with the court system. Those of us who work in it know how hard it is to find help for our clients in this area. It sounds like a lot of growth through probation, and as you referenced, judges will order it.
Yep.
I had a client today who was ordered to take anger management, and it's like, where is he gonna do it?
I think I'm the only one.
Yeah,
I think
well-
I do. I think I'm the only one.
Well, congratulations
Well,
on
thank
that.
you.
You're providing services we have not had in this area, and many other small towns don't have, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for all your good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you guys in September.
Next agenda item is a public hearing. This public hearing is centered on case number RZ 26-02, which is a rezoning application from Lama Rama LLC requesting to rezone property which is located at 431 and 435 Old Hertford Road, and the request is to rezone that property and those addresses from an R20 designation residential to CH commercial highway. The PIN numbers are 781510350639 and 781510350881. At this time, I call upon Dwayne Wilton to give a staff report on this particular request. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks, sir. Mayor and council, before you tonight is a conditional rezoning case, CRZ 26-02. The applicant is here, Lama Rama LLC is requested to rezone approximately 1.19 acres of 431 and 435 Old Hertford Road from R20 to conditional highway commercial. The purpose of this request is allow the expansion of the existing Uptown Edenton extended stay lodging facility. Because of the current R20 zoning does not permit that use, a rezoning is required. The key distinction is that this is a conditional rezoning request. Council is not being asked to permit the full range of highway commercial uses. The proposed conditions limit development to expansion of the existing extended stay facility and associated accessory uses. The applicant is seeking to expand the existing extended stay operation onto the adjoining parcels. The current zoning R20 does not allow hotel, motel, or extended stay uses, so rezoning is necessary before the expansion can occur. This is a conditional zoning instead of general CH zoning, because of general CH zoning would allow the full range of permitted uses in the highway commercial district. Under proposed conditions, development would be limited to expansion of existing Uptown Edenton extended lodging facility. Conditional zoning gives council the ability to approve the particular commercial expansion without opening the property to every use that would otherwise be permitted in the CH district. Properties are situated near both residential and commercial / industrial development. The report identifies commercial and industrial uses to the north and west, with residential and undeveloped residential property to the south and east. The land use plan also emphasizes that when higher intensity commercial development is near, residential uses, impacts such as noise, lighting, traffic, and aesthetics should be considered and mitigated. This particular area is a transitional area, which makes the condition especially important. They allow commercial development while providing safeguards for nearby residential properties. The staff report notes that there may be some inconsistency in mapping information. The narrative analysis states that the future land use map appears to show the general area as commercial and that the requested zoning may be consistent with the designation. The future land use map is generalized, and the report recognizes some difficulty interpreting the map at the parcel level. Staff has evaluated the actual development pattern, infrastructure surrounding zoning, and proposed conditions in determining that the request is appropriate. And I'll expand on that a little bit. If you look at your land use map, that's excerpt, you can't differentiate parcels in that. So it's a shaded area. It appears to me that the future land use map has this particular area as commercial. However, it's hard to determine based on curvature of the road and all that kind of stuff. So it was based on a generalization that it appears to me that it is consistent with the commercial highway zoning district for the future land use map.
Dwayne, can I stop you there? Do
Yes, sir.
you and other staff members have any idea how we can tighten that up to take away that uncertainty and confusion?
No, I think whenever we update the future land use map, maybe that's something that we speak with a contractor to be able to maybe get a digital copy of it to be able to kind of zoom in for particular areas. In any aspect of the town, you're going to run into a transitional area, which is borders residential and commercial. So I think that would be something that we could probably push for when we update the land use map here in the next few years.
And so what I'm hearing you say is they can only expand their existing business.
Yeah, it would be a
I mean, they
conditional
shouldn't be
rezoning.
putting Dollar General right
No, they would have to come back to amend the conditional rezoning to be able to allow
It's
this.
conditional based on that one condition.
That one condition, that and any accessory uses that they would have, outbuildings such as that.
and the courts have approved that as not being spot zoning.
That's correct, yeah. We're just, if approved, the rezoning would specifically be for a particular business, which is what their intentions are regardless.
Were you able to speak to Councilman Bond about this?
I was not, no, sir.
The closest area we had.
I think that's my only reservation about tonight, is that he's not here, and I know that he would definitely want to have some input on it.
Yeah, I don't want to waste anybody's time,
Correct.
but I would want to respect his opinion and hear his thoughts before I wanted to move forward.
So you-
I don't know if we,
Sounds like there's 3 councilmen in favor of that, and that sounds like
it would be my
motion to table
I'll
it.
second it.
If we did do that, and tonight, with 5 of us here that are voting, 3 members would constitute a majority to table it. If you were to do that, I would be hopeful that Councilman Bond could be here at our committee meetings later in the month, and that if he's not, maybe we can get his
thoughts.
views on it before we vote. I wouldn't want us
I think that's what we're looking
continue this, into next month or anything out of respect for
I
all.
do have a quick question. I noticed a New Yorker dressed, the applicant's here today, is that right?
Yes.
You guys come down from New York for this specifically?
She comes down from here. I live on 906 North.
Okay, gotcha. So at least one of you guys are there
Yes.
to be here. Okay.
So,
I would make the motion to table.
okay, we've got a motion to table and a second for the reasons stated. All in favor of tabling this particular rezoning hearing, please signify by saying aye. I'm sorry about that. I didn't necessarily anticipate a whole lot of problems.
We
but-
appreciate all the support we've gotten from the town so far. It's been a fantastic experience.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you for your understanding, and Dwayne, thank you, if you would just be ready to
Sorry.
come
I got
back.
more of a
and-
staff report if y'all want to be entertained. I got plenty more to add.
Yeah, just hold on to that, he's here, we get his, but I appreciate your investment.
Thank you, sir.
In the town of Edenton, and I'm happy to hear it's been so successful that you'd like to expand, so I wanted to thank both of you for
Thank
that.
you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, we have committee meetings, and the way this is developed, we don't really have too much to discuss. The Finance Committee matter is going to be discussed and voted on under new business under this agenda. The Utilities Commission, or committee, which is chaired by Edenton Bond, you recall there were a number of questions, both budgetary and also whether it fit in with the neighborhood, the potential purchase of the Hughley Drive extension. And council asked that due to the budget concerns and also due to the neighborhood concerns, that we put a pause on that to allow our town manager to come up with alternatives or to see if we can hold on to this, the option to buy this property and just push it off a little bit in the future, so there's nothing to discuss there. Then the Public Works Committee, which is chaired by Councilman Costin, that agenda item was related to the speed reduction request on Oakham Street behind the high school. And council at our last meeting asked the town manager, the police department, the sheriff, the school system to get together and give us some alternatives to the reduction in speed. And our manager is in the process of putting together those alternatives, and we anticipate that fairly shortly we'll be able to come back and give us some alternatives.
So we're crossing that up too.
When they do that, because, I'm all for speed reductions, I'll have to say that. And when we do that, can we look at what other towns do? I mean, I think it'd be an interesting thing to know what other towns do. Because, what I see as the worst offender is Church Street at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, people are blowing through that thing like it's a freeway with big mufflers. I don't know how people don't get thrown out of bed.
Same with the 3 and 400 block of Broad Street.
Yeah, it's just, from maybe the peanut mill on, on, it's just, so, I just would like to know what other towns lower on way down, what they do.
Chief, I would ask that we keep a closer eye on that section of Broad Street and Church Street. And I know that's a lot of people that are going to work,
Yeah.
but that doesn't excuse some of the driving that Councilman Dixon and I see at that hour.
Sure.
And there are people out and about, it's a safety concern, and also there's a noise concern. A number of
I think
those.
Mr. Grant probably sees them too every morning.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I notice that as a continual problem, and it seems to be that 6:30 to 7, 6:15 to 7 time period.
Corey, how does it work for I had a conversation with the sheriff today about, like a speed study or a traffic study. How does that work? Can we just call them in and have DOT to do it for, several streets?
We could for any of those DOT roads, do that. One of the things we had done before, which is, we had put up on some of the town streets, some speed recording devices. The problem is with those things, people almost within an hour find out where they are. They just generally slow down, so when you get data, it's like, there's no speed problem. And you come back and take it down in the next meeting, you're here to complain about speeding. So, those or the strips are kind of, don't get true data. Chief, you want to talk about any other options?
Yeah, there is a new trend, and I thought about it and I said, no, it will bomb in Edenton. But there's a company that'll go like to school zones and they'll put up signs, flashing lights and all that other stuff, and they'll write somebody a ticket. It's an automatic ticket like you get in the cities.
Yeah, I
Yes.
put that up a few years ago. I
You
thought
know,
it was good.
but I figured it would bomb, but I mean, we could give it a shot. We could at least get the company to come talk to us, and see what they want to do. Because I mean, to the mayor and Councilman Dixon's question, you guys know we got the courts full on Tuesday and everybody's mad over speeding tickets, but we'll write some more.
You know any towns,
So it's fine.
you know any towns utilizing it?
Usually it's the closest one to us is like Salisbury, it's usually those kind of towns,
Any
Hickory.
comments they're making about it?
It's
Okay.
mixed, the citizens, because I talked to some folks at the police chiefs meetings, it's mixed between citizens that abide by the rules, love them.
Yeah.
The kids love them, especially for school zones. And then you got the folks that, like when we write a ticket, they call one of you guys. So, I mean, it's a mixed bag. If we would adopt something like that, we're gonna have to stand firm with it. But I don't have a problem with, I don't have a problem with us writing more tickets.
Didn't the hospital adopt it at one point?
They did, and they quit because of complaints going to council, so.
And then Greenville did as well, is that right?
Yes, sir, and they quit as well. Everybody quits because of, public comment, so, I'd be glad to look into it and see, it wouldn't cost anything for them to give us, some ideas and see what they say.
And one of the things, kind of jumping ahead, this is one of the things I was going to talk about tonight for items considered timely reported from before. I've been reviewing our 12-hour shift reports, and PD has been ringing the bell on the issue of state citations, local citations, on East Church, on East Queen, all around town. It almost looks like a competition, which we know is not, knowing what we've been asked. But, there is an extensive traffic report for every 12-hour shift, so they've heard you loud and clear. It's time over target.
And the nice thing about the cameras is that doesn't affect anybody's state driving record.
No, sir.
But it is a fine, so it does encourage them not to speed. And that's more fines for the town of Edenton.
That's what they have reference source.
Yeah, I'll check into it, and, we've doubled, I've been listening, we've doubled the amount of citations that we're writing. And I've been getting the guys to document, and you get the report, we document sitting on Church Street, because, people say we're not there. So I've been getting the guys to document every time they're there, and then we can verify it with a GPS and a star.
I've started seeing them
Yeah.
now.
So we've been trying to listen to everything that everybody says, so.
Is there a lot of repeaters, or do they learn?
I would say maybe 15% are repeaters. We got 3 attorneys in here that
A lot of repeaters.
there is, but it hurts their insurance. But Councilman Sellers brings up a good point with those signs. It wouldn't affect their insurance, and it would bring some revenue. I know we're not supposed to say that revenue back to the town. So I'll check into it and see what they say. I mean, first thing to
Check
do.
into it, then report back to Corey.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see if there's any interest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we go into the new business section of our agenda. The first matter is the adoption of the FY 26-27 budget and budget ordinance amendment. Councilman Dixon and Manager Gooden, will y'all lead us in that discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think we've worked really hard to get this to where it is tonight. And I'm gonna turn it to Corey. Corey, I don't mean, we just, briefly summarize and then
Yes.
adopt.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Dixon, thank you, Mayor High. The budget that was shared in the agenda packet is following our special meeting we had last week. Staff were able to hear you loud and clear. We listened to the department heads and tried to prioritize what items that they were needed as far as capital. If you remember, we had originally proposed 47.5 cents per 100 tax rate, and tonight we're requesting the council approve a 48 cents tax, and this did include the additional 35,000 needed for capital for the police department, as well as the capital needs for the fire department. Those are the only two changes that was originally shared for last Tuesday.
And Corey, just one point of clarification, you had indicated that the original request was 47.5, but the original request was in the neighborhood of 55 cents, and that's when
Yes.
we said, hey,
Yeah.
we gotta take a look at that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we owe all the department heads a great, deal of gratitude for going in there and figuring out what they could cut. I mean, this is a to the bone, no travel, nothing really that's gonna be, any kind of fluff at all is in this. And so we're just, nothing really new, not buying any massive, fire trucks or anything like that. And so I guess I'll put it in the form of a motion and get it on the table if somebody else wants to talk about it.
I would just thank Corey and everybody who's worked on the budget as well, and I'd second your motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to
It's not.
enact a budget amendment and a budget ordinance that includes a proposed tax rate of 48 cents per $100 worth of value. All in favor of that particular tax rate for the budget year 26-27, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we pass that, and I echo thanks to you, Virginia, the staff, and the department heads. It's the longest budget process that I recall, and I felt like the council really got into it and looked at this thing as close or closer than it has in recent memory. So,
I've done this for 30 years, I don't ever remember going this deep.
One thing to follow up on, I know that we talked about the Main Street thing, are we still working on that?
I'll provide that updated manager's report.
Thank you.
okay, the next matter of business under the new business section of our agenda is the proposed budget amendment for 115 West Hicks Street, and I want to hand this over to Manager Good.
Thank you, Mayor. This budget request is for final transfer and closeout of the escrow account for the renovations of the property located at 115 West Hicks Street. This amendment was a total of $385,494.34 towards this project. If you remember, as part of the New Market Tax Credit Project, there was a collateralized piece, and this will basically allow us to close out the next escrow account that was tied to that project.
And is that for bills that we're going to pay to close out the project?
No, this will be allowing us to recognize the remaining funding and to basically continue any stabilization efforts as a part of that, as we get ready to, hopefully in the very near future, issue a RFP to actually get us to the point of design build.
So it's not an expense, it's not a representing expense.
Is that what's remaining in that particular account?
That was up to any POs that we've written since the start of this unfinalized budget year, and that will be recognized.
Okay, any other questions or comments related to this proposed budget amendment? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion and a second on the budget amendment.
So moved, Mayor. Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of the budget amendment as proposed for the closeout of the 115 West Hicks Street project, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that budget amendment is approved. The next budget amendment for consideration is the budget amendment for the Project Teapot project at 211 South Broad Street. That involves $761,054.93. Corey, is there anything that you need to add to that?
Same style structure, like the deal. This is the non-collateralized portion of that.
And that's not an expense, it's not a budget amendment to recognize an expense.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions on this?
Make a motion to accept.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the budget amendment for the Project Teapot project, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That budget amendment passes. Next, we move to section of the agenda where we get our town manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. There were a total of 4 public comments received at the July 14th, 2026 full council meeting. First being J.D. Grant. He commended the town for the 4th of July celebration and commended the police department for its speedy concerns on East Queen. He also asked about the work on the railroad tracks near the Mill Village and general concerns about a gas leak while using torches for the removal of the metal there, and wanted to know what was going on those sites. Thank you for those kind words, JD. Around the 4th of July celebration, that was a massive group effort with every nonprofit and every department within the town, so thank you for that. And again, PD's efforts on Queen Street, thank you for affirming what we've seen in these shift reports. The town is still working Norfolk Southern along for long-term cleanup of those abandoned rail track. This is still ongoing, and we've got nothing new to report from them about the property ownership at this time. Mr. Grant also asked about the grocery incentive and an update for Project Teapot. Chess did provide an update for Project Teapot. That's still tracking for October 1st of this year. We are currently working with the town attorney to finalize the incentive agreement with the grocer. Once this is complete, I will execute this document with them. As far as benchmarks for this agreement, what we have found is that this would be limited to whatever is publicly available for tracking revenues. So anything beyond that will require some type of non-disclosure agreement. Ours is very close, the county's is very close for the interlocal, so as soon as we know more, we'll share. Al Murray presented 2 questions. First, regarding the $250,000 that he felt was not scrutinized by the Finance Committee like others during the budget planning, and the second, the unlicensed golf cart policing request from the town. For the first question, and thank you for clarifying, Mr. Murray, the funding for Main Street and all the other economic development funding is a part of the electric enterprise and does not impact taxes. Those dollars are geared to help find and sustain customers for the town's electric system, with the long-term goal being to reduce the other funding types. This decision to increase in a kind of stair-step approach did happen with council over 3 years ago when the first major expense was increased up to $150,000. And this was to align the town with other Main Street communities that had 2 full-time staff members, which is where we are. So this explains why there has been no opposition over the last 3 years, because this initiative took place at that time. I did request the Main Street Board considering a report that shows the impacts of these funds as well as budgetary expense requirements to which they agreed to generate. And so we will have something for yourself and the general public that explains what those dollars do, how they're spent, and how that impacts our community. We should have that soon. Their board meeting was in between our last meeting and this one, and so we've asked for that document to be generated. One of the things that we are looking at including is their economic development impact statement as well as their annual report to be bundled with the budget. On the second question, the golf carts do go through a safety inspection at the police department that mirrors the inspection requirements, similar to what vehicles have as a precaution. This does include seat belts, headlights, taillights, horns, mirrors, etc. These vehicles are often a secondary form of travel to owners with that registered vehicles. I don't think anyone just primarily uses a golf cart without having something that's tagged. These carts are used in a vast minority compared to other such alternative forms of transportation such as bikes and e-bikes. The police chief and I have had way more discussion around those problems than we have golf carts, which will probably be one of the first alternative transportations we have to try to find some type of enforcement or tax or creative way to keep them in safe spaces as well. One thing I did want to share is that there's nothing requiring us to have this type of tax. However, we do have a safety inspection fee that any of those golf carts go through that PD is paid to get the sticker to be approved to be on down. So it's not a true net zero expense for those the use of those streets.
Corey, I have a question. The golf carts along with boat trailers, work trailers, ATVs, boat motors are taxed.
Yes.
They are taxed, so
Yes.
it's not true that they're
Just
not.
not like a tag, like a license plate style for the golf course. Some places do. The most recent we've seen across the state has been really geared more towards these side-by-sides that meet certain criteria that require tags to then be on the roads because they can go as fast as vehicles. They're not a slow-moving vehicle like a golf cart.
And as a police department chief, is that the agency or entity that inspects those and issues?
Yes, sir. Any that goes 20 miles per hour or less falls under the low-speed vehicle general statutes and clauses that's under Chapter 20 of motor vehicles. Now, we've got several golf carts around town and side-by-sides or UTVs, different folks call them different things, that, have got license plates. I get complaints on them, but they've got a regular license plate like a car, they can go where they want to do. There's nothing we can do about that because they meet all the criteria of the general statutes in Chapter 20.
But there is a zone for the ones that aren't registered that way, that golf carts have to stay in, is that right?
Yes, the ones that have the town tag, it's pretty much the historic district is what I try to tell folks. We have folks that get out of that, and we have to go talk to them.
Are there many people that do go out of the zone?
Unfortunately, yes, sir,
I
there
see-
is. I'm not
I
gonna
see-
lie
I
to
see a
you.
few carts.
We wrote a few tickets for it, and, every one of them gets real mad. They're gonna call you guys, so. They're just trying to have fun, but they forget that they signed the thing when they got their permit, that they're supposed to stay,
Right.
in the 25 mile per hour zone altogether, so. Yes, sir.
Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
Wayne Caskey made comments on the Juneteenth Day and other subjects to include the JFK and MLK and the war. Mr. Caskey handed out some copies for council to have at the end of that meeting. Thank you, Mr. Caskey, for the information and for sharing that. Susan Ingles shared information regarding updated tree walk plan from the town's tree committee. She also shared a request for more hanging baskets, benches, etc., basically beautification on the business section of East King. Thank you for the update on the efforts from the tree committee on the newly updated tree plan. We'll be glad to include those everywhere that the town has other informational pamphlets or digital flyers. So as soon as we get that, finalized, we'll get some hard and soft copies together to distribute accordingly. The town will review the East King Street area to see what additional beautification efforts are needed along this section. I do believe that this was included in the street lighting assessment, because I know that we've made our way all the way towards the courthouse green for some lighting improvement. And usually those big ticket items usually start and then smaller ones start to fall into play. So not overlooked, just waiting on some better lighting in that area with the sidewalk lamps. During items considered timely and important, Mayor High spoke about the 26-27 budget and consideration of the one-year pause to get past the Bill 470 from the impacts. Councilman Turner agreed. Mayor High also thanked PD for the efforts on Queen Street and asked for the same thing on Broad Street. The town did make its best effort to create a pause budget that was presented tonight with one slight amendment. Thank you for all the efforts to see this to a finish. On the patrol efforts, again, I've been reviewing shift reports, and the shift have done an amazing job patrolling all streets and making a step forward on these stops. Thank you, Chief, thank you to the staff for getting out there and about. More officers, more stops, more seat time with those speeders. Councilman Turner asked for an update on Beechwood development, and all I've got today is we do have an update call at 11:30 with them about this and some other projects. We still haven't finalized an in-person date yet, but at least we're going to follow up this week. Councilman Costin did share that some of the slight work that been done on the property, they've been making some minor repairs kind of to the interior. Councilman Zellers thanked Main Street for the 4th of July and the tree committee for all those two very successful tasks accomplished. Thank you for the support, Councilman Zellers. Councilman Miller, glad to be back. We're glad you're back. Councilman Costin brought up a pothole issue along Hicks and Luke Street. Public Works did confirm that this was repaired at the meeting, and there are no additional updates at this time about the acquisition of the actual right of way. Mayor, that's all I got.
Okay, now we'll allow you to step aside for that reason. Next matter is considered timely and important. Chief LaFawn, I'd like to thank you publicly, and I thank you privately. When citizens give you a concern, and when this body gives you a concern, you're taking notes and you act upon it, and it's very much appreciated. So I want to thank you for that. That's my only comment. I am glad that you're back with us. It's your second meeting back, I think. And we're happy, and you got a good report.
I did. Thanks.
Okay, we'll allow you to say more.
I want to congratulate the department heads for landscaping and street department. You know, I've had this time sitting on my porch and watching your employees interact with people on a block, and they know good customer service. And I just want to say they're doing a great job. The street department and landscaping department, especially. So I just want to say that. There's another thing I want to say. I've had a lot of inquiries about what's happening with Bojangles. Are we getting any Bojangles? What's happening there? Is there any status report on that?
At this time, control access is approved. Dwayne hasn't gotten any type of conditional use or any type of request or any type of quick service restaurant that's there. We're waiting for the.
I'm just getting these inquiries.
But from a.
Yeah, just report back that the access issue, which was holding it up for a while, has now been resolved.
Right.
So hopefully the door is wide open for an application to be forthcoming. Okay, anybody else?
I just personally like to thank the department heads. I talked to two of them last week about what they had to go through and try to drop off this and this and this, and both of them said it was a hard thing to do, but they knew it was the best for the community and our taxpayers. So the work they've done the last 2 weeks really helped us, and we got some great department heads. We do.
Councilman Russ?
Thank you. Pat Rother brought this up earlier, and I spoke to someone at the Edenton Baptist Church today who pointed out to me that with newspapers being the way they are, how is he supposed to keep up with what the town is doing? And thankfully, we still do have a couple newspapers, but the Albemarle Observer does a good job. But I think this highlights our need to get more information out to the public. I was reviewing our social media posts, and there's a couple about street closures and stuff like that, which has to get out, but all the information that we were getting out 2 years ago, we're not getting out anymore. And I do think that's important. I know we're not gonna hire somebody for that position specifically right now. But if there is some sharing of that responsibility, I think that would be great for the town, and for the town people to know where to go to find all the information they need. And then I'd point out a congratulations to Main Street. I think we've got a new bookshop that opened this weekend, right on Broad. What's the name of the pizza place? Capital Tavern is interviewing. We've got Barron's Pub coming, and I think there's a couple other. We have the new frame shop on King, so I would agree that that area we should beautify it. But that's 4 businesses in a small town. The butcher shop, the 5 businesses in a small town in a small amount of time. That's pretty incredible. That'd be it.
Corey, I have a question. I don't know if we had actually took action on this, but I think we had moved some funds around for the parks at one point, and I was wondering what's the progress, or what's the update on that? I guess the phase 2 of doing some additional things that the kids were requesting for. I felt like we tabled it and never went back to it, but then I felt like we did take action on it, so I can't remember.
And I'll look back to see funding wise if anything has shifted. One of the things we did in light of the budget pausing is we've had a lot of success recently with Dwayne's planning efforts, really beyond just the parks. And we did have a private group just recently donate some of the Gaga pits that were bought originally from the public input with Hunter and police chief are still working on trying to get some of the internet needs. So we're still trying to go for that. You know, when our belt tightens up, our partners, you know, amongst the community seem to continue to donate. But as far as dollars, I'll look back and see if we can kind of itemize what that was. It has been a while.
Yeah.
But we do want to thank some of the local churches for approaching us about some of the youth needs, making those donations for some of their service days. And we'll continue to do that with some of those low dollar items where the community has been given back. So we'll follow up.
And one final comment I'd like to make in light of Councilman Seller's comments and also Mr. Murray's concerns regarding the Main Street allocations that were given. The increased contributions to Main Street, as Manager Gooden pointed out, began about three years ago, and we saw a need to increase that staff from 1 person, the administrative staff, to 2 people. And we now have on board Timmy Turner along with Chess Chesson. And about that same time, the county and the Edenton partnership along with the town discussed the need that it had been a number of years since we had had an industrial commute, industrial guy, economic development guy. And part of that transition from 1 employee to 2 employees was those 3 groups got together and charged Chess Chesson with the duties of being our chief economic developer. It's not coincidental that we're having all of these things that Councilman Sellers just mentioned. It's not coincidental that we've got Provalis coming to town and bringing 155 jobs. It's not coincidental that we may get a Bojangles. It's not coincidental that North Edenton and the Eden Village Shopping Center now has tenants, and it's not coincidental that we also may be receiving a second store. So I think that's timely in light of Mr. Murray's comments and in light of your comments that the goals and missions of Main Street have changed, and we're seeing very directly the results of that. So, with that being said, no further business. I'll declare this meeting adjourned and thank the general public for being here tonight.